Well, not my preferred way to start a hike. Hello there. I'm at Merrimack State Park to make a test run with some new gear. Like most of you, I have a limited amount of time to be outdoors and really want to make the most of it and do more in the time I have, which means more miles in a day so that I could see more and go to places I could if I was doing a low amount of miles. And the first step to that is to reduce my pack weight. So I'm starting with a fairly standard ultralight setup. Ultralight meaning your base weight is under 10 pounds. Base weight is everything that's not consumable, which is food, water, and fuel if you bring a stove. Which means when you add the rest in, I should be under 20 pounds. And the less I'm carrying, the faster I could go and the farther I could go in a day. So I'll be trying some pieces of gear out for the first time. Gear I actually thought I would probably never use. I did try a quilt out last winter for the first time. I was always skeptical of that, but I was proven wrong. It, to me, gives a much better sleep than a sleeping bag, especially a mummy bag. So I also have my first trekking pole tent out here on this trip, which is also my first single wall tent. And I'll be using trekking poles for the first time, something I honestly never thought I would do. I wasn't sure what size pack to get, so I bought a 45 liter, thinking, well, that kind of toes the line. But when I packed up my gear this morning, I'm barely using half the capacity of that backpack, which means I could go smaller and lighter. I have to say, so far, this is probably the most comfortable backpack I've ever worn. Well, actually all of my new gear came from Outdoor Vitals. I've used some of their gear in the past, and I really like it. It's superior quality and functionality. Lightweight, of course. That's one of the things they're all about. And it's kind of a one-stop shop at their website. You can get pretty much everything you need to get out there, minus one or two things, but really not much. And I think the people that are there have a really cool vibe. And I kind of, jive with that. I'll break down the gear that I brought for this trip when we get to camp. And I brought a scale so we can find if I made that elusive sub 10 pound base weight or not. I'm pretty sure I did, but I haven't weighed it yet. The trail is kind of brushy and I'm pulling ticks off me already. In addition to going lighter weight, I'm starting a new training program, especially on my cardio, to be able to get up to 20 plus mile days consistently. It's part of that plan to see more in the same amount of time. I chose this trail. It's short, only 10 miles and mostly a loop, just to give this gear a test run and get comfortable with it before I do a bigger hike. We'll do roughly 8 miles today, pitch camp, and 2 miles tomorrow. And I have a feeling it's going to go quite well, actually. The last time I was on this trail was late fall, early winter, over a year ago. Really has a different look and feel when everything's leafing out. It feels a lot more closed in. I just realized I've been hiking this whole time without my trekking poles. It's going to take a while to get used to using those. I've been hiking almost 50 years and never used them before. Wow, all the bugs are out already. I think it's April 24th, and the gnats and the mosquitoes and all that stuff. Spiders. Yep, Feels like summer. Well, I'm really enjoying this so far. I mean, yeah, it's really hot. We're going to be in the mid 80s today and mid 60s tonight. So, I mean, moderate weather. Just, I'm not acclimated to the temperature yet, that's all. But I'm liking this. So, my desire is in the warmer months to really get out there and knock out some longer hikes and get on the rivers and float. Wouldn't mind pack rafting sometime. That would be really interesting to try. And then in those cold, darker winter months, go back to my older, heavier gear and do some, bushcrafty camping, campfire cooking kinds of things, because those are really fun too. I need to take some daily walks around home and get some practice with these trekking poles. It's more difficult than I expected. Good spot for a break. Maybe get some water and a snack. I stowed the trekking poles away. There's a great place on the front of the pack. I could see their advantage in water crossings, up and down steep hills, mountains. But on this mostly flat terrain and a really closed-in trail, they just don't seem to be working well for me. I'm sure I just need more experience. Well, I'm way ahead of schedule. I expected to go a lot slower than I have been today. It's just after 2. We're supposed to have rain and thunderstorms tonight, during the night, but already it's getting pretty dark and cloudy, so never trust the weather report. Today's a Thursday. One of the things I love about weekdays, I'm the only one on the trail today. That storm front's blowing in. Well, it blew a bunch of junk in my eyes. So it's cooling off too. It feels much cooler than it did before that front got here. So I don't think I'm that far from camp. Hopefully I could beat the storm. Well, 2:30 and I'm at camp already. My plan was to be here between 7 and 7:30. So I made way faster time than I usually do. I need to get something that tracks my stats, kind of like my pace Actually, I need like a GPS watch for navigation too that I could download maps on. So on the Zoleo, I could download a map of where I am, and it shows the wilderness trail and it shows all of the backcountry campsites, but it doesn't show my location. And so if I lose the trail, it really won't help me to find my way back to the trail. So I need to come up with something for navigation, but it'd be nice to know, I guess, like my heart rate, my miles per hour, sleep, you know, those types of things. That'd be really cool, I think. So I'm going to pitch camp here among the pines. It's going to be a beautiful night. I've got 5 more hours than I planned on. I plan to be here just as it's really at dusk, as it's getting dark. So I didn't bring anything to do. All right, I'll pitch camp. Get back to you after that. Everything's covered in yellow pine pollen already. Well, here it is, my new trekking pole tent. I was always hesitant to get one for a couple of reasons. One, I've never used trekking poles, and two, it seemed like it would be unnecessarily complicated to pitch. But in reality, this is the easiest, fastest pitching tent I've ever had. And yeah, so far I like it. Plus, it's so lightweight and it's so small and compactable. It really doesn't take up much room in the backpack. I'm going to go ahead and open it up and show you guys in the tent. Oh, there's a fly in here already. Okay, so I've been playing around trying to tweak this a little bit. I got it really tight. Got all the kind of saggy parts out. This is a single wall tent, so it doesn't have a separate inner from the fly. They are known for condensation. That's a big fly. This is my first night in one of these, so I'm curious to see how it goes. We're supposed to have rain and thunderstorms during the night. And if that happens, then I'm going to have to, of course, close the vestibule, and that would increase the chances for condensation, that plus the weather. Otherwise, though, so you can see I'm not on my sleeping mat, which adds about 3 inches, but I'm 6'1". I have plenty of headroom. I pitched this in the backyard the first time, and I have plenty of room head to toe without touching the roof of the tent. Now, I can pull this out on the sides, and I think I will. There are a couple of more lines attached to the tent just to give me some additional headroom and foot room. And I've got the stakes for it. One thing I've noticed is I am covered in ticks of all different sizes, but I dropped my pants a little bit earlier because I was getting itchy, and my underwear and upper legs were totally covered in these little bitty ticks. Not quite as little as sea ticks, but pretty damn close. So that's going to be an interesting night, picking off ticks all night. Let me go ahead and get the rest of my gear in here, tweak this tent just a little bit more. And I think what I'll do is, I've got so much free time, I didn't plan for it. I did an estimate roughly based on the mileage I know I've hiked, plus the time that I've been hiking, and I averaged about 3 miles an hour with filming, which usually is going to be around 1, maybe 1.5 miles an hour. So that lighter pack has really made a difference. That's really sweet. Okay, we'll pitch camp and explore around a bit. All right, here we are, camp's pitched. Let's see if I can remember all this. This is an Outdoor Vitals 40th 1-person trekking pole tent. The sleeping mat is an Thermarest Neo Air X-Therm NXT. That is a lot to remember. The quilt is an Outdoor Vitals Storm Loft 30 degree. Way overkill for this time of year, but I want to try it out. I've got a rain jacket, 2 pillows, the old Kilo Skier one strapped around the air mat, and a really old Outdoor Vitals one. Let me get that ant. Get out of there. All right, and then just all the rest of my pack and all the rest of my gear. So on this tent, you can close the vestibule with a zipper, and you can also snap it down here if you want that extra security. I'm going to close up the tent, show you the rest of my new gear. For cooking, fuel canister, an Optimus stove weighs 2 or 3 ounces, and a Toaks 550 milliliter titanium pot, which weighs 0.3 ounces. So altogether, that fuel canister will fit in the pot, and then the stove has its own little bag, and this orange bag will hold the pot and the fuel canister securely. Then I have a Knock Vecto 2-liter water bag and a couple of smart water bottles and a Sawyer filter, and then a couple of freeze-dried meals for tonight and in the morning. That's everything. Fortunately, the rain's holding off. The original forecast was not till somewhere in the middle of the night after I'm asleep. I'm going to go to sleep with the vestibule open, and if it starts raining, I'm hoping I wake up and can get that vestibule closed, well, before it's really wet. So I'm going to just go ahead, and I have a long time before it's time to eat, and explore these woods. Beautiful pine woods there. Kind of a mix, but mostly pine, some hardwood. And I'll probably get back to you when it's time to eat. So I did forget one thing, and that's this new Nitecore NU25UL. Rechargeable. I would think it weighs like an ounce, maybe 2 ounces, something like that. But it's really comfortable. It's got some good settings, a couple of brightness settings on the white light and red light, of course. Floodlight option, spotlight option, whatever. So all of these things I got, the new things anyway, from Outdoor Vitals website. And I'm not an affiliate, I'm not trying to push it or anything like that. It's just I'm letting you know what I've got. And the reason I got it is because I know that based on their equipment that I've used over the past few years, it's really good quality. The price is reasonable, in my opinion, on everything they sell. And then it's kind of a one-stop shop in the sense that, for example, the Thermarest or the Nitecore headlamp and those types of things are not theirs, but they do make them available on their website just so you don't have to go shopping all over the place for different items. And I like that convenience as well. Plus, I think I might have said this earlier, those guys have a pretty cool vibe over there. And they have a couple of YouTube channels and do some fun stuff. All right, so I just realized when I was telling you about all my gear that I was squatting while I was doing it. And my wife gives me the hardest time about this. But if you've been watching any of my videos, you know I lived in the Philippines for 3 years back in my 20s. And so this is just how we would sit. You know, I'd sit with my friends over there, and we'd be eating, or sometimes even cooking. We'd be in a circle, or we'd be drinking beer, playing dice or cards or something like that. And you could just sit like this for hours. It's very comfortable. I used to call it the Asian squat. I mean, I don't mean anything bad by that at all. It's just that it seems like so many people in Southeast Asia sit like this, and I think it's kind of practical. It's a really nice wood. With as thick as the pines are, it's pretty open. Look at these shoes now. All that yellow pine pollen. These are black. Well, I really didn't plan to spend any time at camp. Not much time awake. I thought I'd probably pitch camp, eat, and sleep. So now that I've got all this time to kill, one of the things that I have to say is kind of against ultralight principles that I wish I did was bring some camp shoes to get out of these wet shoes and socks I've had on all afternoon, and brought a book to read. Oh, and maybe some beer. Oh yeah, and a chair and a cigar. Yeah, so camping is way different than hiking ultralight. I'm gonna have to plan these trips better. Well, it's finally dinner time. Tonight's dinner, La Pasta Nostra. Penne and mushrooms and a basil tomato reduction with pecorino romano and parmesan cheeses. I know it's going to be good. It's really odd. On the days that I do something that really, to really exert myself, I'm never hungry. I didn't have lunch today, and I'm really not hungry for dinner. But I know my body needs fuel, and I need to eat something. But on the days I'm sitting around doing nothing, all I want to do is eat. Well, I think I have this ultralight thing figured out. When I'm doing a short hike, say 20 miles over 2 days or less, then it's time not to worry about the weight I'm carrying because I'll spend more time in camp. For example, today I was on the trail for less than 2.5 hours, and it's already been 3 hours here in camp. So I've already spent more time in camp than I spent hiking today. So when I'm out there and I could do on a long trail 20 miles a day, then that's when it's time to go ultralight. Otherwise, I'm kind of hiking and camping at the same time. To me, ultralight hiking, that's more about hiking and then sleeping. This is delicious, by the way. So I have these little black flies that have been chewing on me ever since I got to camp. I must have killed at least 50 or 60 before I decided to start counting. 103, 104, 105. These guys are gonna drain me of all my blood. Well, it's about 8 o'clock and I've been hearing distant thunder for about the last 20 minutes. So it looks like I won't be sleeping with that fly open tonight after all. I'm going to go ahead and head into the tent. It's not quite dark, but we're close. And I guess lay down, see if I go to sleep. If anything happens during the night, I'll let you know. Otherwise, see you in the morning. Good night. Well, good morning. It's about 6. Rained off and on all night long. It was really nice, good sleeping. But everything's soaking wet now, just from condensation and all of that. So I'm gonna get packed up and make some coffee, that's for sure. And curious to weigh that pack and see if I finally made that ultralight status or not. Nice sheltered campsite here in the pines. It's coffee time. I really like this Optimus stove. It's got a regulator on it, so you've got really good control of the flame. You could simmer all the way to a big boil with this guy. That'll help save fuel. Boy, the spring woods are beautiful after a rain. Okay, now for the moment of truth. So, I figured I'd just have everything in here except water. I've got my food, fuel, all the water that tent's holding, one of my trekking poles. I think if it's going to be a little over 10, let's find out. $11.9. I can live with that. Getting under that 10-pound mark. It's a goal, and I know I can do it. This is close enough. I used the trekking pole for those water crossings this morning. I took a moment to rinse my shoes off in the stream. Oh, my shoes are black again. That yellow pollen's gone. I'm almost back to the car, so let's take a minute and talk about this trip. The trail is lovely. At 10 miles, it's perfect for a day hike or a quick overnight. The trekking poles, this was my first time using trekking poles, and at first I found it quite awkward using both the poles, and it really felt crowded on the trail. The second day I tried using just one pole and stowed the other one away in my pack, and that worked out perfectly. It was really great for the ups and the downs, provided a lot of stability just anytime you needed it. It's good for water crossings, it helped clear the spider webs and move brush out of the way of the trail. I really enjoyed the stove and cook pot. The cook pot has measurements on the cup, and together they weigh roughly 3 ounces. I have to say, going ultralight is worth it. I'm able to move faster, move more comfortably, and be less fatigued at the end of the day. Let's talk about the tent for a minute. So the material the tent is made from is sil nylon, and sil nylon does absorb water and sag when it's wet. I knew this going in, but it's lightweight, very compressible, and so easy to pitch. Now for trekking pole tents, there is an option in the material for DCF, which is lighter and does not absorb water, but it is 3 to 4 times the cost of sil nylon. So I would leave that decision up to you as to what you feel comfortable spending. I wanted to try this out. It's my first trekking pole tent, and I knew what I was getting going into it, and I'm quite satisfied with this tent. It performed well, exactly as I expected it to do. All single wall tents will have condensation on the inside, regardless of the material it's made from. Now, I do enjoy this tent and plan to continue to use it, but once it wears out, I'll most likely replace it with a DCF tent. I tried so many new things on this hike. The headlamp was awesome. You really could barely feel it on your head at all. Put out plenty of light. And what's interesting, I didn't know this, but the cords glow in the dark, so it made it easy to find in the tent during the night. Let's talk about what I consider to be the shining stars of the new gear that I tried on this trip, the sleeping mat. So that's my first Thermarest sleeping mat to ever use. I know they're considered about the best in the industry, and I understand why now. That one, it was rated at an R value of 7.3, I believe, and it is the only sleeping mat I've ever used, and I've used a lot of different ones where I never felt cool or cold laying on top of that mat. And my favorite piece of gear on this trip would be the backpack. It's a 45-liter pack, weighs under 2 pounds, and it rides so comfortably, fits my body perfectly. In fact, half the time, I never even realized I was wearing it. Of course, the weight in the pack did have something to do with that, but I love this backpack. And I'm only using just above half of the capacity, so as long as I'm going ultralight or lightweight, this would also be a good winter pack for me. I could have had probably a 30-liter pack for this trip, would have worked out just fine. And finally, there's the quilt. I think Outdoor Vitals does a great job with their quilts. I own 2, a 0 degree and a 30 degree, and they perform as rated. Those are comfort ratings, by the way. So I'd like to thank you all for joining me on this trip. I hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next one.